Welcome to Diplomatic Passport here on ZTN. My name is Robert Mukondiwa. Now, this is our daily coronavirus weekday show where we give you updates on the matters that absolutely matter. And last week and the week before last, we were, of course, looking at the tourism industry in Zimbabwe and thinking, where to? Because that's what they usually term low-hanging fruit. That's where we usually start to pick up. But sadly, because of the nature of COVID-19, that's one of the first places that suffered, and the pain, if you will, of having to shut down. And today, I'm joined in the studio by the president of the Tourism Business Council of Zimbabwe, Miss Winnie Muchanyuka. Thank you for coming, and I know these are absolutely tough times. You're wearing that smile, but you're a broken woman inside. Tell us about it. How does it feel to superintend over an industry so crucial, but at a time so dark? This is unprecedented.
No, thanks for having me on the show. But let me say that from a personal perspective, it's been the biggest challenge I probably have had in my whole career, having to, as you say, superintend over an industry at a time like this. Where we're constantly being required to think on our feet and to be coming up with initiatives or ideas of how we could better our situation. As you rightfully said, tourism was first hit before everybody else. By mid-February already, we could see the numbers were beginning to dwindle and the cancellations were coming through. And by mid-March, there was no tourism business to talk about. The tourism industry had already shut down before the lockdown actually happened countrywide. So yeah, it was a very scary time. I think things were happening very fast and we didn't know what to do with ourselves. But tourism people are very happy people because we're constantly entertaining and hosting. And so yeah, we had to be very optimistic about this industry and to get together and to see how best we can navigate through this very difficult time.
And navigating through these difficult times, as you're saying, what is the general MO that you used, that a lot of the industry players used to survive the period of COVID which we are living in? What are they doing? What do they do? I know, apart from those that shut down, those that kept operating on a low, what was the general approach to COVID?
I don't think anyone could operate, actually, because if you're an airline, you had no passengers to transport. If you're in a hotel, you had no guests to entertain. Restaurants and everybody else that feeds into the tourism industry, there was barely anything that was going on, and eventually everybody just shut down. But we're quite excited that in the last week, as we moved to level 2 of lockdown, some of the properties have begun to open now. So the city hotels in Harare, in Bulawayo, in Mutare have opened up, and yeah, the occupancies are still very low, but at least the properties are open, and we're beginning to see some green shoots of what tourism could be like going into the future.
And what are they doing in opening up? What are some of the precautions that they are taking generally as an industry?
I think as an industry, we've adopted the WHO recommended protocols for the tourism industry, something we actually had to recirculate to the members just yesterday, just to remind them about some of the things that are recommended by the WHO to follow. So temperature scanning on entry or on entry into any property, hand sanitization, and sanitization of entire buildings, and those are some of the protocols that we're having to adopt. Social distancing. It's quite easy now with the low capacity that we have, or the low occupancies that we have in the property. It's very easy to adopt social distancing, but I think will get challenging as the numbers begin to grow. But yeah, social distancing within the restaurants or eating areas within the properties, those are some of the things that we're having to adopt as an industry. Yeah.
But it's a warm and cozy and cuddly industry, and I'm without being patronizing, I like to go to my restaurants and whatever at hotels, and what you want to do is give that name recognition, and sometimes even get it. You look at the person who's serving you, you look them in the eye, you ask politely for what you want, you can actually mention them by name, and that's the warmth and cuddliness of this industry. And now all of a sudden, we have to practice social distancing. And actually, I had somebody here a couple of weeks ago who actually said it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. Now we can't get within each other's space, and yet that's what the industry is all about. How challenging is that going forward?
I think it's going to be very challenging. It's going to be a new habit that tourism people have to learn, that cuddly kind of environment that we created, or that social interaction that we had before cannot be a norm in the near future, at least, or until such a time as a vaccine or some other preventative measure has been found for this pandemic. And it's going to be a very challenging time. Even during this time, we've had quite a number of planning sessions where we've had to meet physically, and you can see the habits are still there. Here and there, people end up shaking their hands or
slapping each other's back.
Because it is the nature of the industry that we're working in. But we've learned, and slowly we will get there. And I think as the numbers increase, we're going to have to get to a point where in some areas they would have to wear protective clothing for them to be to work in certain areas of the business. And it is hard when we are people that want to extend this warmth and this hospitality, and then having to be all covered up. Yeah, I think it will dampen the spirits in the beginning, but I think like any habit, you will learn it and it will become a new norm. And
going forward, what is your general message to hoteliers around the country? I do know, for example, Cresta Group, who had closed indefinitely, have opened 2 of their city hotels, as you were saying. We've got Cresta Churchill, and we've got Oasis, I think it is, here in Harare. I was in Mutare a couple of weeks ago, so, and of course, the Holiday Inn was opening on the morrow, on the Friday, I think, or was it the Monday? So, as you're saying, there's a bit of life and all. But what is your message as the president to your people to further assure them that we're going to get out of this and we're going to get out of it alive?
You know, I would say that it's darkest before dawn. I think about a month ago, we didn't think that we'd ever open or that business would get back to a point where we could actually open properties or begin to operate some of the facilities that are within the industry. But we see it happening now, and industry is very upbeat. And if I can share that tomorrow, the sub-associations within the Tourism Business Council, together with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority and the Ministry, we're getting together to deliberate upon a draft tourism recovery plan that the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority has drafted for industry. And all the parties get to input, thrash this out, take out what we don't need to, and input what we need to drive this industry forward. So the players are upbeat because we want to get back to doing what we do best, and to spread some love and some cheer during this time of this pandemic.
And not sounding like somebody who really just wants a very cheap holiday. One thing I would recommend is, of course, that's still low-hanging fruit in terms of the entry point. People want, it's really affected us mentally. So the first thing we want to do is to go out there and have a bit of fun and you know, see the outdoors and whatever. So perhaps one of those recommendations is making sure we dangle something in terms of cheaper packages, especially for locals, to encourage people to get out there, not be afraid, but also to experience their country, but perhaps at you know, very...
You're spot on, because I think the real opportunity that we have now, or in the very near future, is domestic tourism. Because until the travel bans are lifted all over the world, we're not going to be getting international tourists coming through to the country. So what we have is what we have. And what we have is our own people. And this is the opportunity that people get to know their own country. People are not flying off to Dubai or to Cape Town or all these other places, but then that we get to revive the tourism industry in the country through domestic tourism. Once we get our people to be able to get to the different resorts, then we'll be able to revive this. And we won't be able to revive if we are not at the right pricing that that the market can afford. And we would also bear in mind that disposable incomes have gone down because quite a number of people are not earning during this time, or their salaries have been halved, or their earning capacity has been limited. So we would be very mindful, and it's one of the things that already tourism players have been throwing around as we go into to debate this tourism recovery plan tomorrow.
And And perhaps a gloomy something, definitely job losses are going to be experienced. How is the industry dealing with that? How are players trying to at least minimize that? Where to for that family that, of course, is going to have a breadwinner lose their job?
You know, it's a very heartbreaking situation that the tourism industry finds itself in. I was reading an article that was published by the International Air Transport Association, where they were saying that in Africa, aviation alone, which is only a component of the tourism industry, supports 6.2 million jobs across the continent. So without airlines flying, you can imagine what the impact of that is. And this is the level of impact that the tourism, that the corona pandemic has had on the industry. There have been job losses. One of the initiatives that is going on in Victoria Falls at the moment is collecting food parcels to give to families who have no other source of income because all they're dependent on was tourism. There will be job losses, definitely. There is no way that the industry would be able to support the numbers that we've had before. Some players have gone on a split shift kind of setup where, you know, the salaries really are halved between two sets of people to be able to ensure that, you know, people are gainfully employed and they have some kind of income that they're taking home. Some have had to take on the leave days, have gone on paid leave, also reducing that liability that the organizations have in terms of leave days whilst covering this period. So there are various initiatives that are across, but there will be job losses, unfortunately.
Well, Madam President, we have to leave it there. But thank you so much for coming and giving us an update on what is, of course, a very, very important industry. And we look forward to holidaying and opening our country very soon, because hopefully it's the numbers are, it's a bit, there's a bit of optimism, as you were saying, darkest before dawn. That was the president of the Tourism Business Council of Zimbabwe there, Winnie Muchanyuka, joining us here on Diplomatic Passport, and of course getting us up to speed with what's happening in a very, very important industry. Not least of all for me, I miss the travels. And talking about industry people who are also on the front lines and are suffering a lot, we've got the nurses in Zimbabwe. Of course, frontline staff. Last week we celebrated them because it was International Nurses Day. But of course, they need a lot more incentives. There's a lot that they need to be given in order to make sure that they're at least comfortable. Now, here in Zimbabwe, they've asked that they be given part of the donations that are being sent to government by a lot of different players. They think they also deserve something from those donations. Let's hear a spokesperson for them speak on the issue.
With that arrangement, we are happy because that arrangement it's really considering the issue of exposure risk of the nurses. So coming to work for a week, then you go off for 14 days, 2 weeks. That is a noble and a welcome movement, because we are saying if you are exposed the week that you be at work, you have time to heal, or the signs and symptoms to come up so that you can be treated or can be isolated or quarantined for the next. We were expecting that the government, since we are talking of COVID and we have seen a lot of donations in terms of US dollar, we have seen a lot of donations in terms of RTGS from local companies, and we also seen government mentioning that they have set aside some funds for COVID-19. And talking of providing all other things at a hospital or fighting COVID without looking at the human resources, which are the nurses, whether they are well taken care of, it's not correct.
Well, there you have it. They are making their demands, and of course, we still are behind the nurses, and we still thank them for what they're giving as a sacrifice to the people of this country. Now, last week, a lot of you were anticipating the arrival of one of our big artists in hip-hop, Jeezy, and he, of course, was supposed to come and join us on the just before the weekend, and he sent his apologies because he couldn't make it because of a family bereavement that, of course, we talked to you about. But the man is here in the house today, and he joins me as we talk about various things of what he's doing on lockdown and those creative juices as they flow. Jeezy, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Well, people were anticipating you last week. There's been a flurry, and I'm pretty sure some people got to you and telling you how disappointed they were that they didn't see you eventually.
Yeah, I got some messages. I apologize.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But of course, it's something that had to be done.
Yeah, beyond my control.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people were asking a lot of questions, and I think this prompted me to want to start from the absolute beginning. Okay. A lot of people who are deep in the culture know you. You're not new to them.
Yeah, I'm not
but a
new
lot
to
of
this
other people were saying, "Oh, we didn't know him before the so-called the creative beef, as if I should call it that, that happened between you and Noble Styles."
Yeah.
Tell us that history. Who are you as an artist, as a person, as a personality?
Well, as an artist, like we started playing with music like when in our early teens. You know what I mean? Like we just used to gather around, listen to music, and and we took an interest to it, but we didn't have an outlet or a platform for it until Take 5 started a studio in Greendale called That's What Studio. So that was pretty much the hub for every upcoming artist at the time. Like everybody came from there, the who's who right now, like Stana, Rocky, XQ, My Freak, Trinity. I was in the group called Trinity at the time. So yeah, that was our entry point into the music industry.
And people were saying, what happened to Trinity? Where's the team? What's with that?
Well, sometimes when you grow up, you grow in different ways, and life takes you different places. You know what I mean? So that was the situation. Like, you grow up, you like different responsibilities, and real life starts to happen. You know what I'm saying? When we started this thing, we're really, really kids. Like we're like 18, 14. You know what I'm saying? And then when you grow up, people like babies, and things like that. So yeah, that changes everything.
Okay. Now, all of a sudden you explode. What were you doing? Were you creating, or were you underground? What was happening with you as an artist?
I was putting up music consistently. I think you know what I'm saying. I was putting up music. Like if you do the history, you see. 2017, I think I won an award for Best Hip Hop Verse. It was in awards, inaugural Star FM Awards. I won the Best Hip Hop Song. You know what I'm saying? So I was consistently putting out stuff. And
people were not consistently listening.
Maybe.
Absolutely. So this surge, where did it come from? You're sitting there. You're on lockdown.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's happening.
Yeah.
Where did this spark, this surge for this tiff start?
I think it does have a lot to do with the lockdown. Like, you know what I'm saying? You get a lot of time gets thrown on your hands. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of time that you have to utilize. You know what I'm saying? So you just delve into your favorite habits and your favorite hobbies.
And the salvo, why Noble? There are a lot of names out there. Why did it have to be Noble?
There was an actual problem there. You know what I'm saying? Where I felt like, okay, this guy is not being respectful. You know what I'm saying? There was an actual issue there. It wasn't just random, If you do the history, I've never had a problem with any artist before. I've never had to go at anybody before. But if you do his history, there's a problem with a lot of other artists. I'm not the first guy he's had a problem with.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And then of course there was the money that was dangled. People thought they were going to see this on a different platform, on a live platform. It was going to explode. It seems Noble had said, I'm game, and you all of a sudden decided, well, that wasn't your avenue.
Well, like first and foremost, what people need to get is I didn't do that for money in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing wasn't about money. You know what I'm saying? It was a lesson in respect. You know what I mean? And as well, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if somebody has business with you, what do? What do you think? If I have business with you, what am I supposed to do?
Well, probably confront. I don't know. You
like not a business, like real business, like monetary business. I make a call, right?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get a call.
Yeah.
You don't do business on Facebook.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything that was going on with the money being dangled and stuff, it was happening on Facebook. And it was getting to me, same time it was getting to everybody else. But this guy seems to know, he's furnished with details of everything else, like it's part of the organizers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it looked like...
But I never got a call from anybody telling me, yo, let's sit down and let's work out a situation.
If you had gotten a call, would that probably have altered your attitude towards this?
Yeah, I could have taken a meeting, of course, you know what I'm saying? Business is business. You know what I'm saying? Our issues are issues, but business is business. But you make a call, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't try to bully me into a situation that is no paperwork on social media. I'm a smart guy, bro.
Well, you say it was a lesson in respect. Do you think you managed to impart it? Do you think he took the lesson? Do you think he's learned his lesson?
Well, sometimes because a person is cocky and arrogant and egotistical, they might not admit it. You know what I'm saying? But deep in his heart, he knows what's up.
He knows what's up.
He knows what's up.
Okay. Well, another thing was what people were really worried about is how quickly you would respond to his responses.
Yeah.
Where was that coming from? You can't have creative juices that fast.
Whoa, bro, like, ask any producer that I've worked with, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I do other things, I don't have the time to be in the studio all the time. I don't have the time to write music at home and stuff like that. I only work in the studio. So ask any producer that I've worked with, they'll tell you Jeezy writes the music on the spot. As soon as I hear the track, you know what I'm saying, like, it's done.
And and who's Jeezy away from the mic? What's your regular line of work?
Well, right now I'm a block release. I'm full time. I'm studying. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm at MSU. I'm doing a honorary in Media and Society.
Okay.
So that's
So you're absolutely. So
yeah.
So when we look back, for example, at this whole thing, people are scoring. Do you think? How do you think you fared in this battle? Do you think you've emerged the winner?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what did you feel? Because, you know, sometimes even if you're a footballer, you've finished, you've won the match, but you feel your ankle in pain, or you feel, or, you know, this person got at me or whatever. Or if you're a boxer, you think, in the third round, he really did give me a straight uppercut that I really felt. From his lines, what he dished to you, do you think, what damage did he do? What do you feel? Where's the pain?
To be honest, like, as far as me goes, like, you couldn't finish the entire song talking about me, just talking about me. You couldn't do like 3 minutes just jabbing at me. You know what I'm saying? I did 6 minutes, you know what I'm saying, jabbing at it. Go through all of my records. I didn't have to involve anybody else who didn't involve himself. But you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, the painful thing is when you had to talk about Carl. You know what I'm saying? That old stuff. Like, yo, this guy doesn't rap. You know what I'm saying? Why are you talking about him? He can't defend himself in this arena. Yeah.
Probably collateral damage?
Yeah, but to me, that was...
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I regret having to have Carl mixed up in that situation.
Okay.
Otherwise, as far as me goes, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I can take a jab.
Absolutely. Now, Jeezy, I have to let you go, but what can people expect? Is this the end of this whole COVID-inspired, lockdown-inspired sparring, or are we going to see something else? Are there going to be a few more rounds in this bout?
Definitely not for me, man, because, you know, my energy on that is spent.
So you dropped the mic on this issue?
As far as the issue goes, I say what I needed to say. I got it out of my system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure having you.
I can't have a whole career about, you know.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, and I'm absolutely, finally happy that we managed to have you.
I'm happy I got a chance to do this. You know, it lets people know as well some of the things that go on behind the scenes. You know.
Yeah. And I'm
that
sure
are fabricated.
Of course, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you. And of course, this is another platform on ZTN. There are a lot of shows that are happening, and as you're saying, we're using the upside to COVID. Fine, we're locked down, but if it can make you creative, if it can get you doing something else and exploring other things, it's an amazing thing. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Well, there you have it. That's all we had today on Diplomatic Passport. Tomorrow we come back on the same Diplomatic Passport. Our visa takes you to a different place, and we keep asking the questions that matter. And of course, we will keep you updated on the COVID-19 response in the world, the region, and of course, your country, Zimbabwe. So from me, Robert Mukondiwa, here on ZTN. Stay at home, stay safe.